Hey, I'm Fiddler Man, and I want to show you what to do if you have a fiddle that has a bridge that has fallen down and you want to set it back up. Alright, so if your bridge has fallen down, you need to determine which side goes on the E string and which side goes on the G string side. The E string side is the thinnest string, which is the right side if you're looking from the top of the violin. And in this case, we have the E string protector. But if you don't have that, just measure both sides if you can't see it with your eyes. One side here is 1 inch and a 16th, and the other one is 1 inch and 2/16. So the G string side is here, and the E string side here. So put that up on your violin. Now I have the strings kind of loose. They're just tight enough so they're touching the fingerboard. So it'll hold the bridge up when I put it up. Now the feet should line up with these inside notches right here. The inside ones, not the outside ones. So just put the bridge carefully underneath. Line the strings up as you're lifting the bridge. Now if it's too tight, you might crack that, you might snap that bridge, so make sure your strings are loose enough. Put the feet right there and lift it up. Now don't worry about it being in the perfect position right from the start, because once it's up, you can grab it carefully with both fingers and your hands, your palms secure on the table, or you see I put a towel over the whole table to protect the violin, and I rolled it up on the end to rest the neck on. Now line those notches up, look from above, make sure it's in the right spot. So make sure you keep the bridge straight too. You don't want to tilt it forward or backwards right now. Then you want to look at where the strings are lining up here. And you want it not too much to the left, not too much to the right, but right in the center right there. Possibly more to the left than to the center, so that your fingers touch the E string a little easier when you're playing, so that you have more surface for the E string since you're coming from the right side. The G string, you're coming from the right side as well, so you don't need as much space on that side. Okay, so once you have that lined up, you want to grab the violin and look at it like this and make sure it's pretty straight. Now you can use this line right here, which is almost always perfect, to make sure the bridge is straight. I also recommend that when you're going to tune the strings up from 0, that you pull the bridge back a little bit. Now remember, hold the violin securely with the palms of your hands and pull it back just slightly, like millimeters. You don't want to knock the whole bridge down, especially when you get pressure up on the strings. Alright, so now I'm going to double check again that it's lined up. The center of the bridge feet are lined up with these notches on the inside here. Now I'm going to start to tune it slowly. I'm going to start with the E string. Okay, now I'm going to look at the bridge again, make sure it's straight, because as you're tuning it, it pulls the bridge forward. Okay, it barely moved at all, but I'm just going to pull it back slightly again, just slightly, like a millimeter back. Now I'm going to do the A string. Okay, now I'm going to check it again. So you check it and make sure it's straight. And if anything, you want to pull it back slightly. Okay, check it again. Always check it, make sure that it hasn't pulled the bridge over too much. Now notice that as I'm tuning, I'm resting the back of the violin up against my stomach. I'm plucking as I'm turning the pegs. And rather go under the pitch and then back up to the pitch than to go over the pitch, because you might break a string. Every time you tune one string drastically, it changes the pressures of the other strings. Make sure that your fine tuners are loosened as much as they can be loosened, so that you have somewhere to adjust them as the strings are stretching. So you don't want them to be over tightened. Actually, you never want your fine tuners to be past halfway point, so that you have a lot of play, a lot of adjustment left in it. So that's basically how you set up the instrument if the bridge has fallen, or if you're putting on strings for the first time and you're changing all the strings. You want to always constantly check that that bridge is straight. There you have it. If anything, I have that bridge leaning back towards the end pin slightly, like a few millimeters or 1 millimeter. Straight or slightly back, that's the best. That way you don't need to worry about the bridge being pulled forward and knocked down when you tune it. You want the feet to be as flat on the violin as possible. So if there's too much of an angle either way, the feet are going to lift slightly, not going to give you the maximum sound, and you're running a big risk. Remember, there's 45, 50 pounds of pressure right here on the top of the bridge. So if you go too much to the back, lean back too much or lean forward too much, then you're running a risk of snapping that bridge. So basically that's it. Thanks for visiting. Good luck with resurrecting your bridge.